Question is, did Andrew Holness stand up to Donald Trump and Marco Rubio? Get this video to 1,000 likes, my people. Share the video, subscribe to the channel. We have something for play phone. A blessing Sunday it is, my people. Listen to this.
Cuban doctors in Jamaica. Let us be clear. The Cuban doctors in Jamaica have been incredibly helpful to us. Jamaica has a deficit in health personnel, primarily because many of our health personnel have migrated to other countries. We are, however, very careful not to exploit the Cuban doctors who are here. We ensure that they are treated within our labor program by others. Certainly would not be applicable to Jamaica. We are ensuring that our program complies with all the international laws and standards to which
everybody drop a like on the video.
This is not about doctors. This is not about the provision of medical assistance. We have no problem with medical assistance. We have no problem with doctors. We have a problem, and I'm not speaking about Jamaica.
You think him stand up to him
today about, following international labor standards and the like, but I'm just talking about this program in general, how it's operated around the world. And how it's operated around the world is that basically the doctors are not paid. In many other parts of the world, the doctors are not paid. You pay the Cuban government. The Cuban government decides how much of anything to give them. They take away their passports. They basically operate as forced labor in many places. Now, there are places that have better labor standards. Perhaps Jamaica is one of those, and that's fine. But I'm describing generally what the program has been. It has operated in that way in many parts of the world and placed these people in tremendous danger.
All right, so I'm going to go waste some more on the time, everybody. Tell me if Andrew Holness stood up to Donald Trump and the Secretary, Marco Rubio, over the Cuban policy breach problem they had. The Cuban medical breach problem. Now, listen. You hear what I'm saying already. Okay? We have doctor shortage. And for a country to have doctor shortage, it is a serious problem. You understand what I say? Because a lot of our medical trained personnel are leaving the island. Andrew Holness is now saying that Jamaica have a deficit. It means that we have a shortage of doctors and nurses. Everybody are got foreign. You understand? And for him to express that in many persons' views in the eyes of Marco Rubio, everybody, they're saying that this is a clear case of desperation. Now, articles has described Andrew Holness' stance initially as spineless. You understand? But you can tell me if you think that based on what you just saw a while ago, if him stand up to him, you understand? Is it a case that when Donald Trump find a problem, him can just send a man come to Jamaica and Andrew Holness have to hear and listen to what him have to say? Or is it a case where this is for the economy and for the greater good of the country? Is he standing up for Jamaica? Do you think that he stood up to what is happening right now as arguably one of the biggest voices in the world, Donald Trump? Because it seems as if that whatever Trump wants, Trump gets. And he will send people in place, because this is just one of the stops that the U.S. Secretary is going to make. He's on to Guyana, Suriname, and many other countries. Of course, Trinidad has clearly made their stand already. So Marco Rubio never did that for Gode. The Barbadian Prime Minister, she says that she's willing to sacrifice her U.S. visa. Was this a sacrifice that Andrew would have willing to make? You understand? At the end of the day, Trinidad make their stand. We did not hear that Trinidad was one of the places that he said to go, because their message was sent and sent clearly. The U.S. Secretary did not need to go there. Their message was heard and it was loud, and they defended Cuba with all their might and said that they're willing to sacrifice traveling to the United States. Did Andrew defend or stood up to the United States? That's what it is. Because it is not finished. They had their talks already, but the US is going to further investigate. So what many people are worried about is if, let's say that Donald Trump find a problem with Dewey or Jamaica or grow coffee, what am I going to do? Send somebody else come down here and say, listen, we don't like Dewey or Jamaican coffee taste. Change it. And then Andrew Holness have to listen to what him have to say. Or him send somebody down there. Fear what him have to say. Why not send the message across very clearly that this is what it is and this is our stance and this is what you have to accept, yes or no? You get me? That is the problem. But anyway, let's get to the article, everybody. Now, Health and Wellness Minister Christopher Tufton has rubbished social media reports that Jamaica is on the verge of sending home several Cuban medical personnel as it caves in to the U.S. pressure on countries involved in the program. Now, addressing journalists following a media briefing by Prime Minister Dr. Holness and the U.S. Secretary of the State, Marco Rubio, at the office of the Prime Minister in St. Andrew Wednesday afternoon, Tufton said while some Cuban medical personnel would be heading home shortly, this is not related to the stance of the U.S. So Cuban doctors are going home. Some of them are going home, but they're saying that this situation is not the reason why they are going home. Moving right along. The reality is, the Cuban mission allows for medical professionals to come for a period. As it turns out, coincidentally, as this period has now come to an end for a number of them, so a number of them will be going back for others to come. In some instances, extensions are granted, but it is granted up to a particular point, said Tufton, as he noted that on the approximate 400 Cuban health personnel in the island, now 1/3 could be returning home with their replacement arriving shortly. Now, the other coincidence is that is taking place is that currently we are renegotiating the MOU, which is the Memorandum of Understanding with the Cuban government. So there is a conversation that is taking place looking at the existing MOU, looking at the possibilities for change. And so there is an opportunity given the recent discussion coming of the US for us to clarify issues and maybe adjust elements of the agreement, added Tufton. I wonder why all of a sudden, as him say, coincidentally, he said that the Jamaican government has always maintained the conversations around the concerns raised by the US, and the discussions that have taken place have not been hostile, and there has been an attitude of collaboration between the two administrations. Now we are attempting to find a common ground with all concerned, our chief trading partners, the US, and also a traditional and beneficial relationship with Cubans, said Dr. Christopher Tufton. Earlier, Rubio, who last month announced that the US could revoke the visas of foreign government officials whose country employ Cuban doctors and nurses, struck a similar conciliatory tone as he addressed the media briefing. According to Rubio, there must be a separation between the medical personnel and the labor issues which the US are concerned about. Okay, remember that this is not over. Certain talks are going to be had, which Rubio clearly has stated a while ago. It not done yet. So now this is not about doctors, is what Marco Rubio said. This is about the provisions of medical assistance. We have no problem with medical assistance. We have no problem with doctors. We have a problem. And I am not speaking about Jamaica, about the following international labor standards and the like. I am talking about this program in general, how it is operated around the world, and how it is operated around the world is basically that doctors are not paid. You pay the Cuban government allegedly, and the Cuban government decides how much of anything to give them. You take away their passport allegedly, then basically it is operated allegedly as forced labor, is what he says. He pointed out that there are places with better labor standards and hint that Jamaica may be one of those countries. May. The talk's not final, it's not done. That is what I want to understand. He says that every country operates their own program, is what they're saying. Drop a like on the video, my people, and tell me if you think Andrew will stand up to him. Share the video. I will be back with more. Don't go away.